This is KUGAN CASSIUS for iFull TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's Monday afternoon.
You had to come, didn't you? You had to make your way here. Phoned me up last night, all concerned, weren't you? You all right, mate? Yeah, you okay? Yeah, just checking in on you, aren't you? Yeah. I was like, do you want to do a piece tomorrow, Coog? Yeah, yeah, it would be good if we could do it tomorrow, yeah. So here you are.
But no, I genuinely just rung you and like, you're all right, like I did after New York as well. I'm
all right, mate. I'm all good.
Well, you've not even had 2 days to kind of digest all this. We'll go into it a little bit more, but in a summary, what did go wrong?
Just the game plan. I mean, I don't think AJ boxed well. I don't think he adopted the right strategy, the right game plan. It's easy to say, should have done this, should have put pressure on, should have thrown more combinations. Also, let's acknowledge the brilliance of Alexander Usyk as well. The feet, the feints, the movement, the aggressive way that he boxed as well. So you've got to give him unbelievable credit. But AJ got it wrong. He tried to box Alexander Usyk. And, even though he was probably told, and even though that most people acknowledge that's not the way to do it, that's the way he chose to do it. And he believed he could outbox him and break him down, and he didn't. It's frustrating because he can box 20 times better than that. And he will. And now the operation is revenge. That's all that matters. That's all he's thinking about. Spoke to him today. Had an hour with him on the phone. He's absolutely dead. The thing is with AJ, you saw him on Saturday after the fight. The reason that he left the ring after the fight was he's completely exhausted, and I wanted to get his eye looked at as well. But then afterwards, I think generally people thought, look, I don't think he should do the presser. He's had a tough fight, he's knackered, he's seen the doctor, but he wanted to do it again, and he went, and he puts on a brave face. This is sport, you've got to come back from adversity, anyone, stay positive, all this kind of stuff. He's absolutely gutted, devastated that he defeated. Now, you may not see that, but all he's thought about since the final bell, and all he's thinking about probably for the next 6 months, is getting his belts back and beating Alexander Usyk. And today that begins, or yesterday that began. And that operation is underway. He'll be written off, right? It's amazing how you can go from this, unified world heavyweight champ, he's unbelievable, to he's useless, isn't he, AJ? We've seen it before, he's been through it again, and it's disappointing to not get as much support when he was the one that chose to take on the challenge. If you want, he can take easy fights and he'll never get beat. So I said this before, give him the respect of taking Usyk. He might be pound for pound number 1 Usyk. He's certainly pound for pound number 2. So, he's got to use that to drive him, and he wants it more than ever. He just got it wrong, and he knows he got it wrong, and he's kicking himself, and he's got to put it right in the rematch.
A common question seems to be, let's just say there's a space of now and 6 months, what can AJ actually do to change his style to be able to beat?
It's not his style. He hasn't got to change his style. He's got to fight with his style. AJ's become a very well-rounded fighter. He can box, he can move, he can punch, the bits that he needed to put in play on Saturday, he didn't. He tried to box and outbox probably the best technical boxer in the world. Not a good idea, right? But that's what he did, and it's over. So he's got to do the things that he used to do and always does, and he's got to do the things that now he knows. He's a very quick learner, and against Andy Ruiz, in the second fight, he put together the perfect game plan to beat Ruiz and executed it to a T. He's got to do that again. But this game plan's not box and move. This plan is go in there and hurt Usyk early and stick it on him. There's no point giving the game plan away. Everyone knows it, don't they? Who didn't say on Saturday, he needed to do this? Or in the rematch, he needs to do this? Now, there's an educated way to do it. But he has that ability now to do that educatedly, not just go in and load up. But he didn't make those, specifically in the first 4 or 5 rounds. They were too low maintenance, for Alexander Usyk. He got through those, and he was able, after 8 rounds, when it was a close fight, to just kick on and win comfortably. That's what Usyk done, and he was absolutely brilliant, Alexander Usyk. But there is so much more from AJ in that fight, so much more. And as I said to him today, you probably couldn't have boxed worse, or with a worse strategy, and you lost 8-4 or 7-5 or whatever it was. So this rematch, I'm telling you now, and whether you think AJ can win the rematch or not, I'm telling you, it will be entirely different, the rematch. Entirely different. And write him off at your peril, because you will see a different Anthony Joshua in this fight. And I'm buzzing for it. And that's our excitement now. The devastation of defeat, and now the excitement of revenge. We've been here before. Now, 3-time heavyweight world champion. That's the new dream. So we'll dream. He'll dream. He'll do his work. Support him or don't. But he's a good man. Get behind him. He's going for it again. And we keep talking about the resume. This is fight number 13 of the tough fights of people he boxed at the time who were tough fights. Dillian Whyte, Charles Martin, Dominic Breazeale, Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, Andy Ruiz, Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Usyk. That's the run of fights. And it's hard. It's really hard to win these fights, especially against someone as good as Usyk. So now, I'm excited, because that rematch is going to happen early next year. And if he does it, which I believe he can, he's on a whole new level. So the heavyweight landscape just blown up for the meantime, and on we go.
A lot of suggestion as well that there were too many voices in the corner. Can you give your opinion about that? And also, he seemed to have had a conversation with Clifton Mitchell before the fight. Can you elaborate on that as well?
I just, in terms of the voices, I haven't watched the fight back to look at what happened in the corner. AJ is a strange one when he goes into the ring, because that's just him. And he's on the ring walk, yes, niggles in camp. Of course, everyone has niggles in camp, especially when you're heavyweight. But he was in a good place going into that fight. Dressing room, ring walk, really relaxed, to the point where he's walking past people. I saw him turn around and give Johnny Fisher's wife a cuddle from Finchley, and other people that he saw, a little cuddle and a high five, and then got in the ring and had a chat with Clifton Mitchell. It's bizarre, to be honest with you, but that's AJ. He's relaxed. It really comes down to, it was just a poor game plan and poor execution of a game plan, or he didn't execute the right game plan. It's not, you can pick, he did this and he did that, and there'll be big changes going into the next fight, big changes, but it's not, to see him high-fiving people and cuddling them on a ring walk and stuff like that, that's just him. It's not for everyone, but when he went in against Vladimir Klitschko, I've never seen anyone so calm. Just stood there during the introductions, But the AJ that beat Vladimir Klitschko, fighting like that, in my opinion, would have beat Alexander Usyk. And that's what he's got to get right in number 2.
Do you know when you say it was, I'm going to use this term very loosely, but blindingly obvious to us armchair fans, what he needed to do, etc. But is it a given that that's how we will approach the rematch and not try and outbox him again?
Well, he loves the sport, right? He studies the sport. He's so driven to improve technically in every way that he actually thought, no, I can outbox this guy, And I don't know whether it was almost like a rebellious thing where, no, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna outbox him. Just terrible idea. But don't forget, Usyk negates things that you want to try and do. So maybe he wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, but wasn't able to at specific times. because of the brilliance. I don't want to just say bad game plan, bad performance. You've got to give unbelievable credit to Usyk. He's brilliant, you know? It's not just the case of, right, in a rematch from that first bell, just steam into him, mate, and just let your hands go and just like, but there is an element of that. And he will be looking to take Usyk's head off in the next fight because he knows he can't do it the other way. Not that he doesn't have the ability, it's just Usyk. So watch the fight back. Usyk was hurt a couple of times in that fight, and AJ never really let his hands go with any power. But still, he was hurt to the body, he was stunned to the head, without real shots coming in. So now that Usyk will celebrate as champion, much deserved. What a fighter. He'll go away, he'll do his world tour like Andy Ruiz done, and Josh will just stay in the gym and improve and every day wake up thinking about Alexander Usyk. That's all you can do and look to win a rematch.
When you say there's going to be some changes, do you mean training team-wise? Will he bring anyone in, take anyone out?
I think that's not really something I'll get overly involved with, but I think Josh will look at it and say, where do I need to improve? What do I need to change to beat Usyk? And I'm sure there's things that he knows he needs to change or thinks he has to change, and he'll make those changes. Because you have to be brutal and you have to be honest with yourself and say, okay, maybe I wasn't doing that right, or maybe this wasn't right. And there's always things, when you lose, sometimes you get beaten by the better man, but when you underperform, like he did, there's a reason for that. And he has to find those reasons and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Do you have any explanation to why the round ended 7 seconds early?
I don't believe it did. Okay. It did on the DAZN clock. But I remember specifically, the 10 seconds came, and it was 10 seconds, because I remember hearing the 10, when there's 10 seconds to go. And then I thought, I knew it was 10 seconds. It wasn't 3 seconds after the clock went. So I don't believe that was an early bell. One for the British Boxing Board of Control, not for me. But I don't believe it was early. Certainly it was 10 seconds after. It wasn't like, oh, he's in trouble here, let's ring the bell. Because it was 10 seconds after the 10-second warning. So, again, one for the board.
Well, I mean, this is what I've read, but from the Sky broadcast, they must have surely known whether that minute run from second one to...
I didn't see it on the Sky.
I've just read it.
On the DAZN broadcast, it appears that the bell went 5 seconds earlier.
How was it on the Sky broadcast?
I don't believe it was not mentioned. So, but again, one for the board. What I do know is that I remember hearing the 10 seconds to go when he wasn't overly in trouble, and then he got hit by a couple of shots, and it wasn't that it was rung 4 seconds later. So, one for the board.
Have you even contemplated not taking the rematch at all and giving him another option?
No. Firstly, that wouldn't be my decision. Secondly, absolutely no chance. No chance. To do what? I mean, you can't win, can you? If you don't take the rematch, he's a coward, right? And if he does take the rematch, well, it's a bit, a bit stupid, isn't it? Maybe, I mean, again, it's like all these things. You get criticised either way. He wants to win. He looks at that fight and goes, I can't believe I boxed that badly or in that way. Yeah? I can do 10 times better, 20 times better than that. So he thinks, he's not waking up this morning going, Usyk was just unbeatable. I can't believe it. He really hurt me. I couldn't lay a glove on it. He's just going, I know I can beat him. I know I can beat him. But he's got to do things differently. So, no. You wait a lifetime to get a shot at world heavyweight title, right? Can you imagine how much he'd be frozen out if he didn't, he's got a shot at the world heavyweight title in the palm of his hand. Forget the achievements of the past. He has got a chance in February or March of next year to become the unified world heavyweight champion. Forget that he lost it yesterday. That's the new opportunity that's presented itself, and that is a blessing. So we take that with every opportunity in both hands. Not, what we'll do is we have a couple of 10-rounders, and maybe in a year and a half, we'll get another chance. We've got a chance. And he will be looking to take it with both hands.
I find it a little bit weird that the amount of time you guys spend with each other, that this conversation of his approach to this fight and how he was going to fight doesn't come up with you. Like, does it not? I know you're not part of the training team and it's not for you to give him advice. Well, if he said to you, you said to him, well, like, how are you going to approach this fight? And he says, well, I'm just going to try and outbox him.
Those conversations did take place. You know, it was quite obvious that he needed, you know, I said to him, don't overthink this fight. He overthought the fight. It became too technical for him in his head about how he was approaching this fight, in my opinion. I'm not going to start going in there and telling him what you need to do, mate, is, you know, throw the left hook and the right. But we had conversations and he knows, but, you know, he just didn't get it right. It's not, this whole psychoanalysis of what went wrong. Can't you just say, he didn't get it right, he didn't box well, and Usyk was brilliant. There's no point. When you overthink, again, we're overthinking. Overthinking is a terrible thing to do in any shape or form. Any sport, any business, any relationship, anything in life. Keep things simple. Sometimes tasks are more difficult than others, and they require more thought. But do not overthink things. This is a lot simpler than it appears, and it was overthought, in my opinion. But AJ spent a lot of time on improving, and, you know, but he almost needed the old AJ in there, the one that wasn't as accomplished all round as a fighter. So look, there's going to be people who think, oh, he ain't going to win the rematch. Beautiful. Let him be a massive underdog in the rematch. Massive. You know, write him off completely, because when he pulls it off, it will be one of the greatest comeback victories of all time. You know, this is the first time in his career that he's an underdog going into a fight.
Borderline in the Ruiz second fight?
No. He was a favourite in that fight. Borderline in the Klitschko fight, he was a very, very narrow favourite going into the Klitschko fight. Just a slight favourite. He was quite a decent favourite going into the Ruiz rematch. I'm talking betting favourite. He's already 2-1 to win the rematch. He's the outsider. And he should be after Saturday.
You spoke about the potential timescale of the rematch. You're looking at February, March. What's the possibility of it not happening here in the UK?
Very likely to happen in the UK. But we'll sit down and we'll look at the options. I don't think, you know, there will be approaches to do it elsewhere. Look, after Saturday, the pluses and minuses of Saturdays. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that? What you saw on Saturday as a gooner? I know it hurt, but how good was it? I mean, it was like, have you ever seen anything like that?
No, it was spectacular. Like, visually, it was spectacular. Obviously, yeah.
I'd like to do it in England again. Maybe even back at Spurs, maybe at Wembley, maybe Emirates, mate. Yeah, but no, there'll be approaches to do it elsewhere, but I don't see any reason to take it outside of England. Has
his loss had a bearing on his broadcast situation or potential future broadcast situation?
No, I mean, you know, obviously his deal is up with Sky now. Sky would love to do the rematch. Everybody else would love to do the rematch. AJ's career, you know, some people, it's amazing. Some people, you know, even message me saying, I think AJ should retire. It's like, what are you talking about? He's 30 years old. He's got so much more improvement, so many more fights in the tank. He's just put in a bad performance. So he's got 4, 5, 6, however long he wants to fight for. But of course, the immediate focus is the rematch, and it's going to be a huge fight, a much bigger fight than the first fight, because still not enough people knew how good Alexander Usyk was. And maybe the casual fan thought that it was actually going to be a bit of a straightforward fight, really. We knew how difficult this fight would be if he didn't get it right. And that's exactly what happened.
I've got to ask, if he doesn't win the rematch, what kind of situation and position does that leave him in then?
In a situation where he'll just have to go back, rebuild, improve, and come again. He can lose the rematch. He's the underdog. I believe he wins the rematch. But if he doesn't, he's lost to the pound-for-pound number one, or whatever it is. And again, and then he goes away and rebuilds and comes back again. till the moment that he doesn't want to fight again, or he doesn't have it anymore. Like, we watch him in camp. He's a brilliant fighter. And he's, I mean, even whatever position you want to put him in now, number 3 heavyweight in the world, number 2 heavyweight, number 4 heavyweight in the world.
Where do you put him now?
I think with his resume and his achievements, I still see him. Look, it's difficult when you get a loss. It's like the Andy Ruiz defeat. I always say AJ's best heavyweight in the world. And when he got beat by Andy Ruiz, is he still the best heavyweight in the world? So my opinion is probably skewed because of my association with him. So
just give me your top 4.
Alexander Usyk.
Ahead of Fury.
Yeah. Because I rate AJ as the best heavyweight in the world. Look, and then it's just gonna call. You want this so that you can put it on your headlines.
I'm not going to put it on as a headline. I'm just asking your opinion.
I believe AJ beats Fury, and I still believe that. I think styles make fights, but it's after Saturday, it's tough to say AJ to put him number 2 after a defeat. So whether you want to put Fury 2, AJ 3, you got Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte believes he beat Usyk.
Wilder as well.
I don't know. No, Wilder. You can't put Wilder in that list with his resume. Who has Wilder ever beaten?
Wilder's in a top 5 or a 4.
I'll answer my question. Luis Ortiz, right? You can give. But other than Luis Ortiz, which isn't even like a standout win in my opinion, who has Deontay Wilder beaten?
Okay, all right, it's a case of who he's Fulton. Faults.
Stephen Fulton. But it's not.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand.
When I say to you, who has he ever beaten, and you say, yeah, but it's a case of who he's fought. What's that got to do with it?
But what I'm saying is, you're saying that the best win on Wilder's record is Luis Ortiz twice. Okay.
Yeah. So you can't, for me, listen, if he beats Tyson Fury, you could say Wilder's number 1, arguably. But he's not beat. You can't put Deontay Wilder in the bracket of Tyson Fury, Usyk, AJ, even Dillian Whyte as well. You can't. He doesn't have the resume, doesn't have the wins on his record. But anyway, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks' time. It's irrelevant. Whatever I say, no one's going to agree with anyway. I've got my opinion. But right now, the heavyweight division has just gone like up now. You've got Dillian Whyte sitting there now, who, they've got this legal situation going on with the WBC. I mean, and by the way, he would have wanted AJ to win on Saturday, but he sits there now going, wow, the WBC, I should be mandatory. This legal situation rolls on with the WBC. AJ, the WBC were probably thinking, well, if we order the Dillian Whyte mandatory, we could stop the undisputed fight. Now, the winner of Fury against Wilder is almost certain, as long as Dillian beats Otto Wallin, that Whyte is mandatory for the winner of that fight immediately. There is no reason not to do it. So, like I said, Dillian, who 100% would have wanted AJ to win, because he's not like that, now sits there as probably a cast iron mandatory challenger to the winner of Wilder Fury. So now, while you're waiting for that undisputed fight, which if it does happen will probably happen next summer, the winner of Wilder Fury will probably fight the winner of Whyte Wallin, because they'll have to, because the mandatory will be called. So it's a really interesting situation. So, anything could happen. In an ideal world, Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder, the mandatory's called for Dillian Whyte beats Tyson Fury, AJ beats Usyk, and we've got Whyte against AJ for the undisputed next summer.
You're an optimist there, mate. Well, I'm not saying that just a sequence of events there to happen. Where does this leave Joe Joyce, Eddie, with the WBO?
I believe he's the mandatory challenger for the WBO. So you've got a new new champion. There's obviously a queue of mandatories happening now. You've got a new champion who will get the right to make it a defence. It will go, I believe, the WBA, the IBF, and then back to the WBO. So I expect Joe Joyce to get called as a mandatory next year sometime. Which is, listen, he hasn't fought a final eliminator or anything like that. He's just found himself as ranked number 1. But that's okay. He's had some good wins. But he's going to fight, I think he's fighting in November or something. So, yeah. But then you've got the other man, Filip Hrgovic is going to be a mandatory at some point if anyone ever fights him in a final eliminator. But it's really fragmented the belts. It's exciting. It's not what we wanted, but it's exciting. Life is exciting. Sometimes when things get, turned on their head, all kinds of opportunities present themselves, and much rather have won on Saturday, but we didn't. So what are you going to do about it? Dust yourself down and go again.
Right, I want to take you back to after the fight now. So, I've got to ask. AJ's obviously walking with the team, etc. And then, so you're walking on the right-hand side of the railings, and from what we could hear, somebody called you a pussy. Can you just take it from here, please, Edward?
Bad timing. It was just bad timing. I shouldn't have bit, really. It's just hard, I spent a lot of that night, because there was gaps in the night, just going up, literally going, especially of that area, taking pictures with everyone who asked, speaking to people. I think that group of people even asked for a photo with me. Bad time to do it. I mean, I should have just ignored it, but obviously at that point, I'm pretty pissed off, really, to be honest. And I walk past a group of people who I see as I'm walking up, lean over the barrier and go, Eddie, Eddie. And as I went out of sight, one of them went, Eddie, you pussy. And I lost my rag. And I turned around, I said, what did you say? And he went, I said, what did you say? And he went, and I went, what did you say? And he went, and I said, you shit yourself now, you pussy. And walked off. Like, I shouldn't have done it, but you can't. At the end of the day, look, we spend our whole life listening to people online, right, that give you abuse all day, right? Every tweet, put one out. I mean, even like today. Fight week in Milan. Hearn you, like whatever, right? That's no problem. These people wouldn't even open their mouths if they see you face to face, right? But if you want to do it to my face, especially if I'm in a terrible mood, you can't help. If you call me a pussy, right? Listen, I might laugh. I might go, yeah, nice one, mate, or whatever. But there is actually the option to actually say, what did you say? And that was the bad timing for that geezer. It's not because, I'm a tough guy or anything like that. But at that time, some bloke called me a pussy. And
you look like you're up for it, to be fair.
At that moment, I would have taken on about 40 people. Swear to God. But yeah, I shouldn't have done it really. I shouldn't have bit. But it was emotional. Emotions are running high. So I'm sure someone will do it again now, and I promise just to smile and laugh. But it just shows you, doesn't it? Like people, that the ones that do it online are even worse. But like to do it just as you go past, that made it even worse. Eddie, oh mate, yeah, Eddie, you pussy. Like, if you would have done it to my face, I still would have done the same thing. But at least it's a bit better, innit? Like, and at least have the balls to say it if you're going to say it once. But anyway, I apologise. I shouldn't have done that. Unprofessional, whatever. Tempers were high, emotions were high. Sorry. Look, let's just be nice to each other, eh? Like, I want you to have a great time at the shows. I'm all up for banter. But bad timing. That was all.
The other talking point, one of the talking points was Campbell Hatton's win, which I see a lot of people have kind of been vocal about. I mean, you made your comment after it, and you said you even want Campbell to rematch Martinez. What more can you say about that, really, though?
I thought that he was lucky to win the fight. I thought there's been a lot of comments like fighting deep on the card. I don't want to pass the buck over to anyone, but I felt he should have been earlier on the card. Sky wanted him to fight on that position on the card. He is a big name. It was a shorter fight that sometimes slots well in between fights. I don't blame them for, but I felt like he should have gone before Callum Smith, particularly. I spoke to him earlier on the phone. I just said, there's a lot of people, Campbell, who are saying you should go on small hall shows and learn your trade. if you ever feel like that, please let me know. And he was like, no. I said, good. That's what I wanted to hear. You're in this position. It is what it is. Some people say, oh, I feel a bit sorry for Campbell Hatton. Don't feel sorry for him, because he's getting opportunities that some fighters would give their left testicle for. So, but it is hard when you don't have that experience yet. And he underperformed as well. But I just said to him, I feel that people feel like you lost that fight. So what we should do is you should say to people, okay, if you think I lost that fight, I'll run it back and I'll fight him again. And he'll beat him. I promise. Like, he would have learned so much from Saturday. He can box so much better than that. But that's the best way, because if he doesn't fight that kid, everyone's going to say, well, you lost to that. So just put it right. Just go and beat him. But beat him properly this time. So, yes, hard for him, but blessed for the opportunity. But I said, you know, and Matthew and Ricky were great, you know, especially Ricky. Ricky's quite hard on him, like as you'd expect from Ricky or even a father. I think that's the way to be. But he can box so much better, and he's, you know, I feel like have a couple of weeks off and then back in December, give him rematch the kid. You know, but difficult. You see it. I mean, it was mad, wasn't it? 70,000, and it was pretty full when he boxed. So, yeah. I don't want to isolate myself from people who are allowed to have an opinion, but do we really need to be as nasty to him as...
To him, no. I mean, if you don't agree with the decision, then fair enough. But, yeah, of course, which is absolutely ridiculous that it's, you know...
I mean, look, it's, like, again, I don't want to... You're allowed your opinion, and ultimately we live in a world where you can do what you want and you can say what you want to people, and I think that's wrong. And especially when you do it behind a mask.
I mean, if you're going to do it, stand behind the railing and shout it as you're walking past.
Yeah, not as I'm walking past, as I'm coming towards you. Do you know what I mean?
What's the plan for Florian Marku? Test for him that he came through against Prodan. One of the scorecards, a bit funny. Say a bit funny.
Those are ridiculous. The Italian, I mean, it was quite funny because I'm on Florian's team. You got next to me is Chris Churchy and Salvador Churchy, who's obviously our Italian partners and Prodan's promoters. They're like, he's won this fight. I said, he hasn't. I said, Marku's won this. And we're all like arguing with each other. And then the Italian judge scores it 99-91. That's one round. Okay? I mean, the most bizarre scorecard I've ever seen. Was actually the most bizarre scorecard I've ever seen. And then another judge gives it 4 rounds to Florian. That's a 13-round swing in a 10-round fight. What's going on there? Good, you know, I thought Florian maybe could have gone through the gears a little bit more, but it was also 10 rounds. It was a good learning fight for him. Good performance. Prodan's no mug, actually. And when you look at that, like Prodan was undefeated. He didn't lose anything from that fight. Good exposure, good performance. He'll be back in Italy. And now Florian will move on. I want to do the fight in Albania. That's what I want to do, because I just think it'll be mental.
Good call.
Yeah, so we'll speak to Sam and the guys and see what we can come up with. I'd like to box him in New York, where there's huge Albanian population, obviously in Albania, and there's some big fights to be made next year as he keeps going. Will find himself probably in the IBF top 15, maybe just on the cusp. So good night for Florian.
Lawrence Okolie, impressive. Yeah, it seemed a bit of a routine win against someone who said that they was going to kill him at the press conference in Prasovic.
Yeah, I think look, he was overmatched, wasn't he, Prasovic? Let's be honest, and he was the WBO number one. I don't know how some of these guys. Look, he was a decent fighter, but should he have been WBO number one? But as soon as Lawrence won that title, you know, that was put on him, and you know, I think when you win a vacant title, sometimes you have to face a mandatory straight away. That was his guy. The good thing is how he dealt with him. Got him out of there. The guy, when people feel Lawrence's power, all they want to do is hold. And that's hard for Lawrence because he sometimes gets criticised for holding. Since he's been with Shane, he hasn't held at all, quite frankly. So it was just good that he just dealt with him quickly and got him out of there. And he must have a unification next. This guy is an absolute nightmare to fight. Nightmare. He hits so hard, and he will knock out all of the champions in the cruiserweight division. And when he moves to heavyweight, he's going to be a real problem as well. So very exciting. But now we've got to decide which one to fight, and that's what we'll do.
So it just occurred to me, sorry, just to go back to AJ. Did AJ go to hospital after that the other day? I think I read a report, must have been one of these. No.
Definitely not. Castillo obviously went to hospital.
Yeah, coming on to that now, a stunning KO from Callum Smith.
Just a harrowing KO, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? One that to be honest, my kids came to the fight, and I'm so glad they didn't see that, because that was things like that. I remember seeing a few knockouts like that as a kid, and they stay with you for the rest of your life. Jimmy Mack's knockout against Kenny Weiss, right, almost where you are now, onto the rope in front of me. And I will never, ever forget that, ever. And that on Saturday was actually something, again, it was just brutal. And I was so concerned for Lenin Castillo. We saw, can I just say as well, and I know that not everyone agrees with the British Boxing Board of Control, and often people will moan, and I'll probably moan sometimes. How good was the medical response from the British Boxing?
Absolutely first class, yeah.
I mean, the referee, I felt a bit sorry for the referee because he was over Castillo. I don't think he could see his legs, which were obviously shaking, which made it, the whole spectacle even worse to see. The ref called it off after, 3. The medical team were in within, 3-4 seconds? Oxygen straight on. It's unbelievable how many commissions, particularly in America, don't apply oxygen in a situation like that immediately. This oxygen was on in 4 or 5 seconds. Full medical team in, paramedics, board doctors, put him in a position, applied the oxygen, brought him onto the stretcher, straight out. He was responsive as well, which was a good sign. Into the ambulance, to the hospital, full checks, full scans, and then thank God back to the hotel. But it's responses like that can just change. Luckily there wasn't damage to Lenin Castillo, but if there was, it's responses like that can save someone's life. You're talking about 5 seconds. It could be minutes of difference being made between oxygen and not, but it could be a second, and they were in there like a shot. So well done, British Boxing Board of Control. Well done, paramedics. Brilliant. So happy that Castillo's all right. And my God, what a performance from Callum Smith. Bear in mind, Lenin Castillo he's not a journeyman. He's not just someone that was overmatched. He's a really good light heavyweight. He went 12 rounds with Bivol. He's an Olympian. He's a very accomplished fighter, coming off a good win. Callum Smith looked frightening in there. And, he used to look frightening at 168. And just as the years caught up with him, it's so hard. I think he even probably struggled to make 175. But he looked so good at the weigh-in. His face, for years watched him weigh in, just looked drained at the weigh-in. And how exciting. Out of nowhere, really, we've got this, say, young beast coming into the 175-pound division, but not young. And you've got, obviously, people talk about Boazzi and Richards and Yard and these kind of fighters. But I think he's earned the right to go straight in if he wants to. Love to see him fight Joe Smith, or even better, Bivol, any of those guys. But, I think maybe he has one more for the rounds, but I think he would jump into any of those champions now.
There was a couple of other fights on the card as well. Lapin and Chris Ousley, Manny Robles' fighter. Just a word on them.
Yeah, Lapin, I didn't get a chance to see him fall because it was before I was filming on the DAZN boxing show. But obviously a good young Ukrainian fighter and good win for Chris Ousley as well. 258 fighter, captures his first belt, and massive opportunity for him on the card.
How many buys, or roughly?
Well, I don't say,
Can't we guess? Well, we know it's around the million mark, but
you'd be okay saying that. But it was solid buys. I don't say the buys don't matter because we lost, but the buys don't matter because we lost. But no, it was a good night. Obviously, you saw the size of the show. It was always going to do well, and you know, the rematch even bigger. Just got to win it.
Can I just show you this? I don't know if you saw this. This is like
Not me again.
no, this is Malik Scott who wrote that on one of his questions. So somebody wrote on there. So it's like a question thing.
At least he's a history-making rich bum, and now you're a piece of shit that's just got blocked.
It's right, isn't it? I suppose all these people giving stick. I mean,
I got one yesterday. Couldn't believe it. Do you know what? Every now and again, you know, when you go through the messages that aren't from people who you follow.
how often do you do that?
About once a week, something like that. Oh my God, what a bad move to go through it last night. I was getting absolutely destroyed on Instagram last night. I can't believe it. Like, you open them up, it's like, you're a total prick. Ha ha, how do you feel? Gutted, Hearn. Serves you. Like, it's like, what are you doing? These people. I had a blinder. I've got to pull it up. Hold on one second. Because I never.
Do you ever reply to
No, just every now and again I reply, but I've got to tell you this one. Hold on. This is a blinder. It just tickled me, and I didn't even really. I weren't even fuming, but I just thought I've got to say something to this geezer. Where is it? Hang on.
I'm surprised you reply to the ones in the requests.
Very rarely, but I had to with this guy, right? So he goes, and I won't say his name, and he's
Apologies, that just run out, but we're just picking this back up now.
yeah. So, and the thing is, I won't show you his picture either, but he's like, he's a right rascal geezer, like he's, right. Well, I don't want a geezer with no hair, right? So anyway. So he goes, ha ha, little. I don't really want to use the language here, but anyway, ha ha. No, I did. Ha ha, little bitch, F off, you overrated pile of wank. Long live the King Usyk. Your boy, even on his best night, couldn't match him. On his worst, spend all the time in the gym you want, big boy. You will never get the skill set Usyk has. Your reign is over. You got battered. Ha ha, whatever, right? So I just went, Mike. All I is, Mike, people like you really baffle me. You've got a guy in AJ that has a pure heart and lives every day trying to be better. Then you've got you, a complete bald melt that's likely achieved fuck all and sits on here criticising people they could only ever dream of being. One life, Mike, time to make that change. And he replied, thank you, mate, you've just absolutely made my day. I swear.
This is social media.
And I just went back with the hands over eyes emoji, and I was like, what drives you just to go, do you know what? I'm just going to send an abusive email to some geezer.
Would you respect him more if he'd carried on the conversation to a certain degree?
Yeah. I only do that, I don't know, like I'll look at those messages once a week or something like that, and I'll reply maybe once a month, and sometimes people do come back, and I actually converse with them. But if he would have come back and been like, I would have just blocked him. But when he comes back and goes, oh mate, thank you, you've absolutely made. I'm like, what are you doing at home? Just going, do you know what? I'm going to just send an abusive message to someone. But anyway, yeah. So that was quite fun. It actually cheered me up yesterday. But yeah. And I showed my kids because I feel like that's something that doesn't just apply to people who are in the public domain. That's something that it's common in normal life. So it's important for kids to know that, one, you can't behave like that, and two, it's not real life, you know. But it half cheered me up last night because I thought it was quite funny. But yeah.
Okay, you're off to Milan this week. Sandy Ryan's on that bill as well this week.
Sandy Mark, it's a good card. Scardino against Oberstein. Patera Boschera, good fight. Reshat Matti on the card. Craig O'Brien from Ireland is fighting Samuel Naomi. Sandy Ryan, did I say that as well? She's fighting on that card. But let's be honest, 12 days' time. How excited are you for Liverpool? I mean, that is an unbelievable card. Smith Fowler, Ted Cheeseman against Troy Williamson, JJ Metcalf against Kieran Conway, Shannon Courtney defending her world title against America's Jamie Mitchell, Sol Dakers against Sokolowski, Luke Willis against Ryland Charlton. I've probably missed loads of other stuff on the card. Huge card.
Best card you've put on in Liverpool.
Yeah, by a mile. And maybe ever. Top to bottom. Can't wait. Fowler's in unbelievable nick. Smith is in unbelievable nick. Brilliant fight. Am I sort of fading down this chair? I feel like.
All right. Just a quick word on, obviously, Sky starting their kind of new era of boxing this week.
Yeah, look. It's a weird thing, you know, now obviously, because I guess they see me as a competitor. So, like last week, you never really saw me because they wouldn't interview me or anything like that.
He was being interviewed once at least last week, wasn't he?
Not on any of the card, I think right at the end of the show, but I did 1 or 2 interviews on Fight Week. Normally I'd do 100. But that's because I'm not Team Sky anymore. They're well within their rights to do that. And I'm competition in boxing. So that's fine. And that, to be honest, the fact that they want to be competition, which is good for boxing, that's good for me as well, because I want to produce the best shows, and we've done that consistently over the last 10 years, and we keep on doing it. And you know, when you look at our shows, obviously Saturday, but Smith Fowler, look at the quality of the bill compared to everything else, I still feel like we're head and shoulders above everyone, but we have to keep on our toes, because if you get complacent in life, you know, you'll lose momentum. So I'm really driven I'm just driven full stop. Even after Saturday, things like that make me even worse, because I'm just motivated. And obviously that's AJ, and that's separate, and that's now the drive to win the world heavyweight titles back, but just in general. So, like I said, a lot of people have sort of texted me and phoned me, and even in here, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I feel good. Like, gutted, but we move, as the kids say. You like that, don't you?
Has Canelo seen that clip of you losing your rag?
No. Well, I don't know. Ooh. He hasn't messaged me about it, no. He messaged me straight after the fight, and Eddie.
I think you should send it to him. I think he'd like that.
Maybe.
And Fury Wilder in a week and 6 days.
Yeah. Again, like I don't think Fury will lose a second of one round. I think it will be a complete shutout. But Wilder has the ability to knock any heavyweight out, so he's got to be switched on. And listen, even though the Undisputed is off the menu for now, I hope he wins. I do. And then obviously the WBC must make it right and order the Dillian White mandatory straight away.
Final one. We're just never going to see AJ Fury, are we? We're not, are we?
You will. I'm telling you now, you will see AJ Fury. Unquestionably.
We don't want a Brooke Khan situation, you know, when they're in their like 40s, mate.
He's probably not even in his prime yet. He's just 30. You will see that fight. Will you see it for Undisputed? I can't give you that answer. But, you know, it's life. This is why I told everybody, now's the time. Back then. But listen, it couldn't happen. It is what it is. And, there's no point moaning about it. On we go.
Eddie Hearn, thank you very much for quite a lot of your time. More than you promised, actually.
All right, that's cool. Oh, shit.
What?
Okay, got to go.
What happened?
I'm late.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.